it's broadcasting and the attendees are piling in now. So we might give it a couple minutes before we start. And I may decide to share my screen. Is that cool?
Looks good. Yeah.
Great.
Ellie, if you could go on mute, yes. So when you could just come,
okay.
Because yeah, that'll be great. Thanks.
So I'll probably kick off with some housekeeping. Welcome everybody to this Shopify meetup, proudly sponsored by Shippit and driven with us with Shopify as well. In terms of administration, we want to kick off by covering a bit of an overview in terms of what we're going to talk about today. We've got a couple of great speakers presenting today as well. I'd love to obviously take Q&A throughout the actual presentation or the webinar. There will be no handouts shared before the webinar, but they will be shared after the webinar. So we can share some of this content, so you'll be able to take some of that great advice that the team at Shippit, team at JumpStart and Shopify will also present today. So I think we're going to get kick-started now. So again, thank you for joining. We've got some numbers of people still coming in. Purpose of the webinar is obviously to really connect ourselves into the ecosystem and really help retailers, e-commerce retailers, scale their business into new markets and also help them support them as they get bigger along the journey. In terms of overview of some of the topics that we're going to cover today, we'd love to get an update from Sarah, who's on the line as well. In addition to covering this overview, I'd like to then dive into a bit of a background in terms of all the people that we've got on the line as well. So we'll cover a bit of an update from team at Shopify. Xavier from JumpStart. JumpStart will cover some of the key e-commerce trends that he's seeing that he's driving growth for some of the retailers that he's working with. Team at Shippit will cover how you can increase revenue or increase sales with multiple delivery options and also use shipping as an enabler to drive conversions. We're lucky enough to have Ellie today as well from Homeground Coffee Roasters. Lavneesh is going to jump into a fireside chat with her to cover a few key things that she's learned over the past few period during COVID and what they're looking at doing into the future. And finally, with the last 15 minutes, what we're going to do is we are going to open up the floor to allow people to jump in with any questions, so we can answer those whilst those topics are hot. In terms of background, my name's Will On. I'm co-founder, joint CEO of Shippit. We've been running for the last 5 years, and we've recently launched into Singapore and Malaysia. We're fast expanding into the region, and my responsibility is really to help take this business into the region out of an explosive last 5 years that we've had in Australia. Other people that we have on the line as well. Sarah, do you want to give a bit of a background?
Yep, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I manage market development for Shopify. I'm based in Singapore. Cover a couple of markets in the region. But my role is primarily to work with partners such as Shippit and JumpStart, and try and make the Shopify platform more user-friendly and more lovable by our users in Southeast Asia.
Thanks, Sarah. Over to you, Xavier.
Hi, my name is Xavier. I'm from JumpStart. Basically, I'm a Shopify Plus partner. So I work with different merchants for different kind of scale, both just starting out to all the way up to MNC level for merchants, basically helping them grow their business across the region and also domestically also. and try to solve the business problems across Shopify.
Great. Thank you, Xavier. Lavneesh?
I am Lavneesh, part of the Shippit team. I basically run market development for Shippit in Southeast Asia, based out of Singapore. I think we are very excited to be in Singapore and Malaysia now, very successfully looking to ramp up operations in the region, and would love to talk more about that later.
And then finally, we have Ellie, who's sitting in a coffee shop right now. We'd love a bit of background, and maybe you can show the people at home where you're at and what you're doing.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Ellie. So currently I'm right here in at Homeground. So Homeground was started maybe 2 years ago. We started online. So we are very fortunate. We are actually using both Shippit as our delivery option for our customers, and we are also using Shopify, especially during this whole COVID situation. So these are the two platforms that have been helping out us with the during this period a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ellie. Thanks for the great introduction. So, Sarah, I might hand over to you if you want to give a bit of background as to the meetup.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm not sure how many of you are regulars to Shopify meetups. We used to have them quite often in person or in a physical space. Last year, hosted by a number of our brilliant partners. And because of COVID-19, we've had to move them online. So, for those of you who have not joined us at a Shopify meetup before, welcome. These are events put together by our partners and for the purposes of mutual sharing of experiences on e-commerce, on people's entrepreneurial journeys, and to facilitate networking as well as just mutual sharing. So it could cover a range of topics, and we power businesses of all sizes, from the micro entrepreneur to the large brand, and over 1 million of them are powered by Shopify globally. So the range of topics that you could discuss for entrepreneurs are pretty varied. So this is kind of like a platform for that we would love to offer to as many merchants as possible. Usually they're localized for people to be able to basically learn from each other. So we've run Shopify meetups in 59 cities around the world, way past 1,000 meetups in total. It's a bit of an old stat, but in 2018 we had 3,000 attendees. Today, we have close to 100 attendees already at this meetup alone. So this is great. And I think it just is a testament to like the power of community. It's not just how we want the Shopify merchants and users and our partners to connect, but it's also how we want and hope our users to connect with your customers as well. So that it's not just a sale or a transaction that you are having with your customers, but also that you turn your customers into a community of fans that keep coming back to you, and they know that they can come back to you for specific products because that's what your brand stands for. So yeah, very, very happy to have everyone here. On the next slide, Will, sorry if I can just trouble you. Yeah, I just wanted to talk through some very brief updates on what's been new. Our last meetup was in May. So and basically every week or every month, we've been having these meetups. And I try to give a little bit of an update on what's been happening. If you're a user of Shopify, you would know that we're constantly pushing out new features and the new tweaks. They can be small. Sometimes people don't even notice. For example, like the autocomplete of an address field, right? So we push those out, or they can be noticeable, and we would do like blogs and YouTube videos and announcements around them. But like I think this is also just a really nice forum, to be able to share like what new things are relevant to our users here. And what we've been working on in the Singapore office as well. So just on the next slide, I just had two very quick updates for this meetup. And the first one is this new landing page that we have developed. I wanted to highlight it because it's not very well known that you can use Shopify to sell internationally. We have many people who who come to Shopify and sign up thinking, yeah, I'll just use Shopify to sell within the country. Totally okay. And if that's the business model that you have right now, particularly given this COVID-19 situation, do it. But we also do have other features that you can leverage to sell internationally, and oftentimes people are already servicing international customers without really realizing that they've gone international, because somebody has found their website from a different country. So at the bottom and of the slides, I actually did put a couple of links there. If it comes to like multi-currency, if it comes to domain repointing, selling in different languages and stuff like that, there's tons of resources. One that I wanted to highlight is the Global E-commerce Playbook. It's a little bit hidden, at least from my view, but like there's a really good resource there. Yeah, for you guys to have a look at, after the meetup, if you want to, just learn more. The other thing that I wanted to mention on the next slide is a partnership that we have. So it's a promotion with PayPal. PayPal are one of Shopify's biggest partners. And if you're using Shopify Payments as your payment gateway right now, that's totally fine. You would use Shopify Payments for the certain features that it has. For example, you can sell in 133 different currencies right now with Shopify Payments. But there's a reason why we have other payment gateway options embedded into Shopify as well. PayPal is one of them. It's a very known name. Customers feel safe transacting out on PayPal. And I just wanted to mention that also, they're running a promotion for our users. If you're new to PayPal, but you're existing on Shopify, you do get 2 months off 0% transaction fees if you sign up for PayPal. And it's one of the great payment gateways for if you're selling internationally and cross-border. So the details are in the QR code, which you can scan, and it'll also be in the slides that go out. So those are the two new updates from me. Will, I see you're unmuting. Shall I hand back to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for the update. Thank you for the background, Sarah. It's really great to have Shopify power an ecosystem like this. So, Xavier, e-commerce trends driving growth for retailers. Over to you, my friend.
Sure. Can you go to the next slide? And the next slide. So basically, I'll discuss on some of the trends that we noticed across the different Shopify merchants that we worked with. We see some similarities on what are the things that are happening around the world. So right now, what we are seeing is the world is getting smaller. Mainly because where logistics is happening right now, a lot of things are uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. Shipping lanes are getting closed. It's harder to get things shipped out from one country to another country. It's also more difficult to do, for example, even domestic shipping, for example. So there's a lot of people in sourcing within the country itself. Versus buying more goods online cross-border. So those are some of the things that we see for when we say the world is getting smaller in that sense. there's always this disruption of supply chain. So there's a lot of merchants relying on China as one of the main supply chain that they should be relying on. But right now there's a shift in between. When COVID happens, there's a lot of them shifting out from China or relooking at what China can do for them and what other countries could be supplying for them in terms of their goods. So it could be outsourcing to other markets that are now more ready to ship to other countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, or Malaysia, or Indonesia, or like even Thailand, for example. Contact-free delivery will always be the standard now. Expect your box to be delivered, for example, like that in a bunny suit like this. Everyone's leaving it at the door, so you need to be able to offer such solution to your customers now, and expect that to be a standard delivery method. And there's a shift in terms of buying patterns. A lot of customers now are moving into buying essential categories. I will go through with you the essential categories that people are buying at the moment, so that can give you some ideas. So of course, people are buying food because we can't survive without food. That's the one thing that everyone buys right now. Merchants with food as the main category of selling, they are skyrocketing at the moment. Even takeaways are doing quite well right now. Health supplement is another category that you could be looking into. Everybody wants to be healthy and kind of like be immune to the situation at the moment. So health supplements are up there. A lot of users are buying noise cancelling headphones like myself and like William. We are all working from home. We have noisy kids. We just want to be able to just do conversations like this properly. We all want to be in comfortable home clothing, right? We could all be wearing nice tops, but we could just be like wearing shorts and whatever in this kind of conversation, right? And home office furniture is big. So people carve out a new section of their home just to do at home office, and also new tools to use for video conferencing and just to do work, right? And of course, the last category that we see a lot of growth is actually the edutainment for kids and babies. Especially working from home, parents need to entertain their babies while they do work. So that's another category that you guys can consider looking at. So ultimately, this is going to get competitive for everyone because on the next slide, because everyone is going online, right? So everybody is taking this opportunity to relook at the business and trying to sell online. Free shipping will be the new norm because everybody's fighting for attention for the same wallet. Every ad dollar that goes out there, we are fighting for the same wallet that a consumer would have. They will be stretching. They will be going to merchants who will be able to stretch their dollars basically. So I'll give you some case studies on some of my merchants. So this is just a purely online retailer only. So when COVID happened, when Singapore went into a lockdown from February, you can see the spend of on their goods basically spiked. Basically either out of worry that these particular goods will be scarce or they won't be able to buy it. They're just stocking up. Basically, consumers are stockpiling them. So you have merchants like this with enough growth that will be competing with you, for example, in terms of dollars. The next type of merchant will be, for example, like you can see this where it's an offline merchant. So January, February, not much sale in the retail stores, and when they decide to focus to online, you can see that spike based on that sale. And last, of course, when an offline merchant decides to shift focus purely to online, you can see that spike. Like compared that to last year's revenue, there's at least a good 1,000% in the terms of growth that you're looking at. So what did they do right, and how can they grow, right? So these are some of the action plans that you could look at. One is you would need to invest heavily in customer retention. The same amount of customer that you're looking at, I would really emphasize for you to be able to get them and maintain them on your store, and make sure that they keep on coming back to your store. So what I would suggest would be to send them more relevant emails, not just promotional emails, but basically practically doing segmenting of those emails. So if somebody buys a blue shirt, please send them something else that is blue, for example, or somebody were to wear red like myself, send me more red products, for example, and I will buy it, right? And set up retargeting automation. So some of the retargeting automation would be, for example, if you were to do abandoned cart, because you know your average order value of your store, right? You should treat customers who abandon anything below the AOV differently from somebody who's having a higher AOV. So with this, you could set up through tools like Dot Digital. Oops. So you can go to the next slide. It's okay. Okay, so you can use something like Dot Digital where they could empower you to do such automations. So on the next slide, we have this automation tool where, for example, I could segment any customer that has at least ordered one time and purchased it in the last 60 days. And then I would group them into a segment and email and market them. So in the next slide, we have a flow, for example, right? So in this automation flow, we have a branch where anybody with a low AOV, below AOV, I would just send them a chain of email just to get them back to the store. But ultimately, if somebody were to spend more than my AOV, I would send them a discount code right at the very first email. So that's some of the strategies that you could be looking at. You should look up these two guys. They are based in Singapore. So they would be best for you to reach out to them to see how you can automate your marketing tools for you. The next one would be, then I would suggest for you to invest in customer service, especially at this time where a lot of customers are online and they feel the need to reach out to somebody through chat or through Facebook or through even Instagram DM, for example. So you need to be where the customers are, and you need to be able to automate replies. I would heavily recommend automating your replies because e-commerce is 24/7. All of us needs to sleep at least 8 hours a day. We try to automate replies so that when times where you are not around, there are at least bots for you to reply certain standard replies. So I would suggest looking at this tool called Gorgeous. So they will be able to pull different customers from different channels that you have, either from Facebook, email, chats, all into one ticketing system, and then you'll be able to do your replies, or you can either automate your replies, which we can show in the next screen. So in this, we can tag the different type of requests coming in. So stock requests will be handled differently from a customer who needs interaction with a human, or simple things like, for example, I want to change my shipping address, right? Or they would just be asking you, where is my delivery, right? So there will be integration that you can do to your shipping carriers for through Gorgeous, for example. So for you to get Gorgeous, look up Jackie. She'll be able to sort you out for that. She's nice, she won't bite. So yeah. Next one will be to invest in customer reviews. Because it's a internet or it's a digital world right now, reviews are very, very important. I would buy a product just because of what my peers would talk about the particular product. So there's a tool out there called Okendo. You can go. Okay. So with Okendo, you'll be able to reiterate your authority, and you also be able to use user-generated reviews everywhere. So whatever testimonials that you get about your products, I would suggest to plaster it every single where that you can get it onto your Facebook, onto your web page or Instagram or on your web, right? So the tool that I was suggesting for you to look at is called Okendo. If you go to the next slide, so they will be able to give you this kind of ratings. And you'll be able to segment, for example, is my product, how what kind of data that you want to collect, whether it's effective in terms of shipping, for example, is speed of the result good, and how is it like, and then you'll be able to see the different customers. The other interesting thing about Okendo is you could do things like this, like for the products that you sell, you can gather intelligence in terms of how your product is doing, whether the functionality is great, quality is okay, and people are more receptive towards the design. And of course, you can generate discount code for anyone who does a review, right? Then that keeps them coming back. The other thing about Okendo, what they can do is they have a Google meta tag to your reviews. So if somebody were to search your store on Google and that comes up, you'll be able to see the 5 stars that you get and the number of reviews on Google search, which is very important. So yours practically is very much different from the other searches over there. So that's okendo.io. If you just let them know that I send them your way, and then you'll be able to hook up with them. So just to recap, invest in customer retention. That's very important. Also in customer service. And lastly, you need to invest in customer reviews. So that's my email. If you need a drink or virtual drink with me, just hit me up. That's all I have. Thank you.
And Xavier loves a drink, so
yes.
So thank you very much for your time, Xavier. I think one of the other areas that has been booming over the last couple months will be covered by Ellie, because everyone needs their hit of coffee, right? So introducing myself, my name's Will On, co-founder, joint CEO of Shippit. We're a 5-year-old company, and a lot of the background that I'm going to give you comes from close to 3,000 merchants, close to 40 million shipments that have been processed on our platform. Customers decide, and similar to Shopify, we've got very, very large customers like a Sephora, a Cotton On. We've also got the micro retailers as well. And our goal is to support retailers in building their brand, helping them scale, and getting their products out the door as quickly and easily as possible. So we all know that the big marketplaces are pushing on fast shipping, free shipping, and have been pushing on getting next day guaranteed shipping. And it can be somewhat quite daunting for a small to medium e-commerce retailer who's competing with the likes of the big marketplaces, right? And the reason why I'm here today is to really talk through some key tactics and some real tactics on what you can do to increase your conversion rate, to reduce cart abandonment, and to really also cover some of the costs that you may have when you're spending on probably the second most expensive line on your profit P&L statement, right? You're paying for COGS, and then you're paying for shipping, basically. So what we want to do today is cover some real revenue driving tactics to be able to help you build your business. So the 4 key areas that I really want to focus on today are your shipping pricing strategy. So how do you come about that? What do people think about when they're looking at the checkout? Another tactic around shipping threshold. So how do you promote, or how do you get people to spend more, right, with some of the shipping thresholds, and how you come to actually think about some of the pricing thresholds that you want to set? Providing shipping options on your product page and how that increases conversion. And then finally, of course, optimizing shipping at the checkout. So a lot of people see shipping as something really cumbersome, difficult, and very daunting. Now, these are some real tactical pieces of advice that we can share with you today. Now, in terms of pricing strategy, what we've seen in our research is that people will definitely wait for slow delivery if it's free, right? We see standard delivery as anything between 3 and 5 or 3 and 10 business days, and people will actually wait for that free shipping. But what we also know is that there's a real balance between free shipping and when people want to pay for their shipping, right? And being able to push for quality, pushing for speed, pushing for convenience, these are all some of the key things that go through the psyche when someone's at the checkout, right? And it's really easy to offer free shipping, but the real question that we need to help people, merchants like yourself, helpful with is really getting answers on, well, how do you start to encourage your customers to pay for some of that shipping as well? So what we know that is if free shipping isn't an option, there's a high likelihood of cart abandonment, right? So it is now the expectation, and Xavier touched upon that a bit earlier, right? Your big marketplaces are pushing for that. So if your big marketplaces are pushing for free shipping, we also need to offer some type of free shipping as well at our checkout when we're talking about our direct-to-consumer brands, right? So some of the key tactics, or some of the other key things that we figured out is that a lot of cart abandonment happens when you start to introduce new and unexpected shipping costs, right? So what we also see is that you might lose some shoppers at the beginning of the funnel if you tell them that they're going to have to pay for shipping charges. But me personally, and what we've seen in our research, is that you would rather let your users leave at that point immediately, right? Rather than dragging them through the entire process of the funnel, filling in the details, and then all of a sudden you've gotten to the end of the checkout and bang, calculate shipping and there's more shipping charges. That really leaves a sour taste in people's mouths as they're going through your checkout. And you'll unlikely get that customer to return to even purchase that product later on, right? So the stat here is that like 56% of shoppers will abandon shopping carts due to these unexpected costs. So how do you get people to spend more, right? And it's really about coming up with your free shipping thresholds, right? So understanding where most of your orders are coming in and how much people are spending in terms of their cart, like that balance is really going to drive a bit of that conversion. So I give you an example. My wife, she's probably the internet's #1 shopper, right? And what that means is for her is if she can see free shipping as a threshold, she's going to spend up until that threshold to get free shipping, right? So if her basket comes at $40 and it's free shipping at $50, she's going to buy another $30 item. I don't know why it's $30 more, but the whole point is that as a retailer, we can start to swallow the cost of some of those shipping costs that we incur as merchants if we promote or we get our customers to spend a bit more on terms of their cart. I'm not sure if everyone else sees that as well, but that is definitely a trend that I see in my household, and it's definitely a part of the normal psychology, right? In terms of presenting shipping options presenting shipping options at the product pages. Now, obviously offering more shipping options, we see and we know in our data that it increases conversion, right? We also know that customers are willing to pay for more of that shipping or more of those shipping fees for something that's more convenient. If they want it faster, charge for it, right? Give them that option to pay to swallow some of that cost for you. So not only offering same day shipping, next day shipping, standard shipping, and standard shipping for us is slow shipping, right? If you offer that for free, at least you can cover some of those costs with all your other different shipping options on the product pages. Now, in terms of providing multiple delivery options, it's really about the psychology of having these many options at checkout. But the reality of it is we see many, like close to like 95% of people take up that free delivery option anyway. But the whole point is that you want to be able to push some of those costs back onto merchant or your customers who are willing to pay for that convenience, right? So some of the stats that we've seen are that 64% of customers use click and collect. And I know it's a bit different now with the COVID environment as we're starting to see things open up again, especially here in Australia. Customers will definitely go to a store to pick up their items if you're offering that at checkout as well. And if you're an omni-channel retailer, then that's great for you because you don't have to pay for any of those shipping costs. I'm just skipping on now. In terms of the willingness to pay for fast shipping, now what we're seeing is that older shoppers place even more greater premium on narrower delivery time slots. So according to a survey that was put out by PwC, shoppers aged like 65 and over were like close to 10% more likely to choose delivery in a certain time window, right? And it really shows that people acknowledge that delivery on the same day or even faster is a special logistics effort. And because it's a special logistics effort, then your customers should be willing and happy to pay for that cost, right? And the real final for us, the final piece of conversion tactic that we've got at checkout is around offering cash on delivery, right? So we know that half of Southeast Asia is unbanked. And what that means for us at Shippit is that we're seeing some of our merchants offer cash on delivery, which is accounting for at least 20% of their transaction within the region. So obviously by offering cash on delivery as a checkout option, you're opening up your funnel and opening up the sample size to many more people who can have access and who are able to pay for their goods while on delivery. So there are 4 key tactics that that I've covered in terms of increasing your conversions and making it a revenue driver. I'll be able to share this pack with you afterwards, but I'm going to hand over now to Lavneesh, who will introduce Ellie, and they'll cover through some of the things that they've gone through during this period.
Thanks, Will. Just as a quick introduction, I'd like to introduce our panelists today. Homeground Coffee Roaster is a very popular Singapore-based coffee roastery, and we are lucky to have Ellie with us today. Hi, Ellie. Thanks for joining us for the Meetup. We would love to know more about your experience of setting up a successful coffee roastery and how the online store helped you scale and transform your business.
Okay, so maybe I think most of our participants are from Singapore. So we know that we actually gone through a period where we call the circuit breaker, which is a little bit or pretty much similar to a lockdown, where only takeaways are available. So way before this whole circuit breaker, our focus was always in store and like ready to drink beverage and probably just coffee beans. And with very limited SKU. We do have a website, but we did not put too much attention to it. But as we see that the situation got worsened. So what happened was we actually managed to revamp our website and make it happen before the circuit breaker happened. So we actually provide a platform which is Shopify to actually allow people to make their purchase online. And what another focus that we actually did was because there was actually a huge drop in terms of resources. It was dead quiet on the streets. Especially if you go out for takeaway, you realize that the streets are very quiet. You don't see much many cars even on weekends. So our sales there was a drop of maybe 50 to 60%, which was pretty bad. And what we promised that was we do not want to retrench anyone or do any pay cut or any no pay leave. This is what we promised our staff. And to keep to it, we thought that, okay, we need to diversify. So which is going on to online business. So that's when we actually managed to revamp the whole thing and all to manage to catch the crowd. So one funny thing that we realized is our sales online always spike up, especially if there's a talk, like for example, from our PMB or from our finance minister or whosoever. When they have a talk on the very same day, right after the talk, we'll see a spike in like our sales, especially for online. Yeah, like everyone would do like their panic buy. So because we thought that the panic buy will only happen in supermarket, but actually it happens on our online store as well. Interestingly, so during circuit breaker and during phase 1, that was what happened. And we actually, with this and the amount of effort that we put in, we actually managed to cover the loss in the 50 to 60%. In fact, we actually earned more than that, which is actually, I would say it's a great thing. Actually, it opens up a lot more opportunity for us. So seeing that there's a trend and there's a demand. So what we did was we actually increased the amount of SKU that we have online. So because we thought that this would actually bring back more customers as well, and you have to increase the average spending for every customer. So we used to probably have maybe about 40 to 50 SKU. So now we have like about 150, and we're still growing the SKU. As you can see, this very fancy retail shelf that we have on here, we have lots of items. Yeah. So one thing that maybe I'll say a little bit more about Homeground is why we call ourselves Homeground, because we actually want to focus on the home brewing community to encourage people to brew coffee at home. And this whole, I would say, this circuit breaker and phase one, actually, we kind of make use of it to actually encourage more people to make coffee at home, because people tend to get a little bit bored and they want to do something at home. So taking use of this opportunity actually helped us to grow our branding presence online and as a whole as well. And now that we are back to phase two, one good thing is we actually see a conversion rate that we actually have more customers coming in that used to be just online customers. They actually come in store and make their purchase as well.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's really great insight. Thank you for sharing that. One of the interesting things that I noticed on your website is that beyond being a roastery, Homeground is also a community for coffee home brewers. That's a very interesting thought. And can you tell us how that really helped you create a community and increase your sales and conversions?
Okay, so I guess one thing that, like what Xavier mentioned early on, is to actually invest in your customer service. So unfortunately, we haven't been able to synchronize everything into one platform yet. We are working on it recently, especially we have flooding in of like a lot of message every day and emails. So this is something that we really need to do and work on it very soon. So what we do is when you purchase equipment, we always try to give you, especially if you are a new customer, or if they ask any questions about how do you use the equipment, we have all the guides like video content or like image content or like graphics, and so to actually guide everyone. So not only so, we also took an initiative to do like several brew guides that people can might encourage people to make coffee at home. So making use of tools that are very easy and you don't need to buy or invest in a lot of money. You can start with a small amount, as low as maybe like $30+. You can actually start to make coffee at home. And what we do is we actually have different price entry for equipment. So let's say, for example, a kettle. A kettle on average cost maybe is about 100. So we do source for small kettles, maybe cost about like 20+. And we do have like, I'll say electric kettle that costs about 200+. So we try to have different products at different price entry that will actually encourage people to, you can target different target audience, people who are price sensitive or people who are like super keen in coffee.
Right. So Ellie, can you tell us more about what have you done to make sure you're actually meeting customer promises? For example, how important is fulfillment and logistics, the whole delivery experience for your customers? And how has that really helped you get repeat buying behavior and loyalty and all of those great things?
Okay, so one thing that we noticed during this period is everyone is actually pretty impatient because they're at home, they're bored, they really want to get their stuff as soon as possible. So what we did was Shippit actually provide a courier that they work with, which is Aromax. What they can do is they actually do a 1 business day delivery, and this actually helps to retain a lot of customers and encourage a lot of purchase because everyone is very excited. It's like if I place my order today, I can get it tomorrow, which is something that like most of the people with this actually give us a lot of positive customer review, and people are actually very impressed with this level of like fast fulfillment. So that's why this is one of the things that, because there are actually a lot of delivery options, like for example with SingPost, which have I would say a much slower fulfillment period, and that will actually kind of like turn off customers, even though it's cheaper, but because the cost is actually not so much of a difference. So on our end, we thought that with the additional cost, it's something that we can actually bear on our end, but in long term, we actually gain more customers and actually encourage more purchase and so we thought that this is actually something that we can invest in, and yeah, indeed, it really did help us a lot.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds lovely. Yeah. No, sorry, go on.
Oh
You were
yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah. Oh
something?
yeah, and yes, yeah, and also because another thing that like because there's a lot of delivery platform, but we actually chose Shippit is because it's very seamless with Shopify. It works great with Shopify. You can skip the hassle of like you have to key in the data and everything. You can avoid the problem whereby there'll be any wrong data entry in terms of like phone number. You don't want to key in the wrong unit number or street unit number just even by 1 digit. So what happened is all you need to do when you use Shopify and Shippit together is it's just a click of a button and everything is done. And the next thing you need to do is just pack order, print the edit deal, and it's all good to go. So on our end as a workflow, it saves us a lot of time. And saving time will actually help us save a lot of money as well because we can now use all this time to invest in other areas in terms of like marketing, sending out emails or setting up ads on social media. All this time actually in return actually help you a lot more in bringing more revenue.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to talk to you, Ellie. Very happy to hear about your growth, phenomenal growth story, and all the best going forward. Will and Xavier, would you have any? We have 1 or 2 minutes. Would you have any follow-up questions that you'd like to ask Ellie?
Guys, there's actually quite a lot of questions coming in asking how Ellie markets her website. Ellie, would you be able to share like a tip or two?
Okay, yeah. So I guess we are first thing first, we were very clear on where who's our target audience, I would say. And we know that at that point of time, the logistic and the supply chain around the world is not so stable. So we actually chose to focus on local market in Singapore only at the moment to be safe because you do not want to have a bad fulfillment experience for the customers. So we did run a couple of like social media ads and to also generate content for people to want to come to your website. So these are the two things that I would say that is pretty important and crucial for us during this period because with content, it draws people to your website and they'll tend to dig deeper by looking at what are the products that you have. So I would say it's something a little bit more indirect as compared to like social media ads that we do as well. So I would say we do both to kind of target two different group of people. So whenever we come up with any strategy, we try to think of we diversify. Same goes for like our product SKU. So and like why we chose to go from online and go from like offline to online is also to diversify, and this actually helped us a lot in terms of a business point of view.
Great, thank you for that, Ellie.
That's great. Thank you.
I think, yeah, if we switch over to the Q&A now, Sarah, if we start from the top, there's a question there about when Shopify point of sales is coming.
Yeah, so the point of sale app itself is already available in Singapore and Malaysia outside of North America. I'm not sure if this question is about the hardware. If so, then the original point of sale hardware is still in the US at the moment, and I think they are trialing launching in Europe. Right now, our customers in Singapore and Malaysia use third-party compatible hardware, and for many of the use cases, it seems to work fine. Yeah, if you just Google, we do have a couple of local hardware distributors, like Kingly.sg is one, and eSol or Square.sg is another. EISOL.net, I think that's their name. So yeah, just have a look at them, and yeah, Kingly is in both Singapore and Malaysia at least. That answers the question.
Got it. And there's another question there on the Stripe wallet functionality.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just marking the questions as well.
Got it.
So it's a little bit long question. So I think the question was more on, there are a couple of parts to it, right? When does the money come in via Shopify payments, and how often is it transferred into their account? It's in our help docs as well. So it depends on the country where you say your business is based, and in Singapore it's every 4 business days. So Shopify payments is powered by Stripe, And it's an overall experience that we've worked with Stripe very closely for. So you should use, you would not be able to use Stripe itself on Shopify. You'll be using Shopify payments.
Great. Thank you for that, Sarah. Over to you, Xavier. Question there on when the automatic reply, or is that a Sarah question? Automatic reply, I think that was related to your topic area.
So it depends on what the automatic reply is. So I mean, if it's like customer service, Gorgeous will be able to handle that. So it depends on the keywords that they pick up. So for example, like where's my shipping delivery, they'll pick up things like shipping delivery, and then they can go back to Shopify and check the delivery status. If there's a tracking code or whatever, they will pass back that number into the chat and they will reply the customer. So they can do, all we just need to do is set up the different rules that we need to do. So of course, you will know your store better. So what are the business rules that you want to set up? You can set it up and then just need to apply automatic replies based on those.
Great. Thanks for that, Xavier. Question here from Con about how we deal with duties and taxes in advance of getting to the checkout. I'd love Sarah to tell us about that, but I'm kidding. So one of the limitations that we've come across over the last year while developing the integration is actually quite difficult to get that duties and taxes before you get to that checkout process. So one of the easiest ways to start with is we see our merchants set up a shipping page, which has got a breakdown of like some of the duties and taxes and the amounts that customers should expect. Now, I know that's not the most elegant way. I think from my understanding, Sarah, I believe that Shopify may be looking at something at the moment in terms of duties and taxes calculator.
Yep. So in the link that I shared in my deck, shopify.com/crossborder, we do mention that we are building our own native duties and taxes calculator. I'm happy to put it in the chat to all audiences if I can. Yeah.
So that's in advance of checking out. So thank you for that. In terms of low shipping costs from China to Singapore and other countries, Ro, I'm happy to jump off this call and you can grab my details and we can talk through a number of different options that are available. I'm not sure whether or not that's bulk importing from China or if it's on a package or parcel level. In terms of bulk shipping, obviously we've got a pretty good network of being able to work with our partners and suggest big shippers to most of the people that are on this call. In addition to that, from a parcel perspective, there are a range of options out there with a number of carriers on our platform that we can suggest, but it really depends on the circumstances, types of goods that you're shipping, how fast you want it shipped. So I'm happy to take that one offline, Ro. Ellie's talked about marketing, and we love that Henry was drinking coffee. I hope it was Homeground. 3PL. I think, Ellie, you don't ship out of 3PL, do you? It's out of the store. Your fulfillment, all the fulfillment.
3PL as
where do you all doing all your picking and pack? Do you do all your packing from the store?
Yeah, in the cafe as well. Yes,
Great.
Everything here. Yeah.
Great. Which countries do you recommend getting your supply from? From Joshua. I'm not sure which panelist that question's directed at. Maybe it's Ellie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a specific question, right? Because it depends on what you're selling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would say for us, because we are a distributor of a couple of coffee brands, so we don't really have an option. But what we actually kind of like, what we try to do is we try to stock up a little bit more, and we plan, like we used to plan for like 1 to 2 months supplies, but now we try to plan for like 3 to 4 or up to 6 months. And we will try to order. Yeah, so we actually try to do, I would say, because back then, way before everything, we only do like 1 to 2 months kind of forecast, but now we increase a lot more. but the problem is only about the space of like storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the demand is actually picking up,
Yeah.
which is a great thing for us. So yeah, this is one way. And otherwise, in terms of like, if you're more specifically like, let's say about coffee beans itself, which is we purchase a lot of like green coffee, which is the raw coffee. We do get from different suppliers. Let's say we have it from Taiwan, we buy direct from the farm. We also get it from China. We get it from local suppliers. So we try to diversify. I mean, this is also in the thing we have to stand out as a competitive advantage to stand out from other local coffee roasters. And also because with different suppliers, you actually get like more options. And also you also reduce the risk of, let's say, if there's any slowdown, I would say any delay in shipment, you always have your local supply as your backup. So it really depends on which product you are talking about. But there are some that we really have no choice but to do like pre-order or like to put on hold first. If you're talking about coffee equipment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm just sorry. I'm just scanning through the Q&A. I only just found that. I've been looking at the chat box. So I think we're closely running out of time as well. Sarah, I'd be keen to know if these questions can somewhat be downloaded at some point, and then we can get back to everyone. Maybe I can do that. Actually, I can do that. I can download all these questions, and then I'll try and get some answers to this and give it to the right panelists, because I can see that we're running through time right now.
Yeah. So usually, Will, what we do is we try and collate all the questions before the event ends. So you should do that shortly before closing the event, because once you do that, then all the questions get lost.
Yeah.
And then we'll include the answers to the questions that we haven't been able to get to when we release the slides.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Cool. Amazing. Okay. All of a sudden, I've got all these questions. I've got a bit of homework to do tonight, I think.
I think it's also like once people start talking, people start thinking, and then, there's just more questions that come to mind. Okay, so while we give Will a little bit of time to like consolidate all the questions.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap up quickly and just say thank you so much to the speakers here. To the audience for your questions, but in particular also to Ellie. I know that it's you have to be in your shop, so to take you away and to ask you, to come to a completely different location is a bit of a big ask. So yeah, we appreciate your time. And also especially the Will and to Will and Lavneesh for putting this together, for Xavier for the insights as well. I see from the chat as well that most people are pretty happy with the content as well, which is great. Will, I hope you have been able to capture the questions.
Oh yeah, they're coming in still, and I'm still capturing them.
Okay, all right. We'll try and get to them as best
Great.
as we can, and Shippit will make sure that the slides and the answers get sent out as well, since we weren't able to cover all of them in this time.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining. It's quite challenging times at the moment. We've had such a good turnout. Thank you Shopify, JumpStart and Ellie for participating. And Sarah, thank you. This is your last hurrah before you're off for a couple months, right? So good luck with everything, and we'll be in touch soon.
Okay, thanks guys, and stay healthy everyone. Take care.
Keep safe. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, man.